Okay, thank you everyone for coming to this year's annual meeting. Got an exciting story to tell this year. We're coming out of a great last year's season, and we had a good summer as well. And there's going to be some people helping me with this presentation. I'm Carl Strand, the general manager. I'm going to talk a little bit about last year's recap and some future vision, 5-year plan. And then Ethan Austin is standing over there. Director of Marketing, he's going to talk about this winter's outlook and some new initiatives we have in marketing, some new products that we're offering. Crusher, right over there, he's going to talk about some of our capital improvements that we've done over the summer. Sam Punderson will do a recap on real estate. Kate Punderson, is she here? Oh, she's en route. She'll come talk about CVA. Bruce Miles, I'm sure he'll show up too. He's going to talk about Ski Club. And then Carolyn Olet is going to talk about Maine Hudson Trails. So winter recap. Well, it was a great season, and there's no secret in the ski business. It's all about snow. And you can see on this graph that it was the largest amount of snow in the last 15 years. And if you look at 2016, you can see that was one of the worst winters, probably back to the 70s. So you can see how the dynamics of how snow affects our business. And also, the snowfall came in big bunches, 30 inches, 26 inches, 21 inches. Great year for snow. This graph kind of shows when the snow fell by month. And you can see in December and February we had quite a bit of snow, which was right around some of our bigger periods, our Christmas period, and also our February vacation. So that helped drive the revenue. So overall, we had a great year. Revenue, everything about double digits up. Visits, ticket revenue, F&B revenue, lodging revenue, and you can see even season pass was up. And typically, in a bad year, the prior year, our season pass does not pace as well as the previous year. But I think it was the efforts that we did with all the snowmaking that year helped drive that perception and had our season pass pacing up. And Ethan's going to talk about that a little bit later, how well we're doing this year as well. Okay, so GSS, this is our guest service survey. This is kind of how how our customers say how well we're doing. You get these surveys either if you stay with us and you depart, we send you one for your email, or we have ways of capturing them at point of sale. We also have ambassadors going around collecting emails. So as you can see, we did really well last year. Actually, the one that we look at recommending Sugarloaf, which is part of the whole net promoter philosophy, and the idea behind that is if you recommend Sugarloaf, it's a word of mouth, and that's actually the best advertising we can have. We had the highest in Boeing history, over 78%. And the next closest was around 70 or 69. And Sunday River was 62. But you can also see we did well in all the other categories. So this is we're very proud of this. This is what our staff, it's their hard work. So we talk about this all the time in our staff meetings, and they're very proud of these scores. This graph just shows February vacation, but it kind of shows, again, the impact of snow and levels of business. If you remember last February vacation, the first week we were coming off a great stretch of really good snow and ski weather, and then it rained on the second part of February vacation. So you can see how the business levels fluctuated. We had the Alpine Championships last year, second time in 3 years, very successful event. Next year it's going to be in Sun Valley, and they haven't determined yet where it's going to be the following year. But we're very excited about hosting that for the second time in 3 years. It went very smoothly. There were some issues with some weather, but we worked through it very well. Reggae Fest. I know you all enjoy going to that every year. I didn't get it. Again, biggest in history. A great driver for lodging and food and beverage revenue. And for the month of April, that's a huge boost for us in terms of creating something in a period where normally there isn't a lot of activity here. So Reggae has been very successful for us. And so is the marathon. It's actually, again, the largest marathon in our history. There was a waiting list of over 100 people. I think we opened up next year's last week. 48 hours ago, there's already 200 people signed up. 450, okay, it keeps growing. But it's a very popular event. It is a qualifier for the Boston Marathon. Fairly flat. I haven't run it myself, but I'm told it is. So it's a great event for us. Again, another big event in May, which is not typically a big month for a ski resort. With snow, we had some challenges last year with our snow removal. A number of those large snowfalls, which I showed earlier, we did struggle. And we've made some changes in our property support department. Dana Kluge's here somewhere, but she's got to head up the department now. We did some changes. We outsourced some of our snow removal, plowing and so forth, and we put some plans in place based on snow amounts. We're utilizing some of our other departments, mountain ops, so we have a much better plan going into it this year. The other unfortunate thing to talk about is that we had one of our employees, Alex Witt, pass away while he was working on the mountain last winter. And he was very well loved by all his fellow employees. So we decided to put in a new helmet policy, which is part of their uniform now. They're required to wear it, and we will provide them with a helmet if they don't currently have one. And then this policy is now Boeing-wide. We decided to do it across the board. It kind of mimics some of the things that Vail's doing in some of the other ski resorts. But we're going to miss Alex. Summer results. We had a good summer. Hopefully a lot of you have come up this summer and see some of the changes we did in the village area and also the golf course. Overall, revenue was up 5%. Golf revenue was up, even though rounds were down a bit. We had a pretty rainy, cold May and beginning of June, which we didn't have as many rounds as we had the previous year, but revenue did catch up. Lodging revenue was up 8%, and a lot of that drove that was weddings. Again, our net promoter scores were strong this summer. You can see these are the top 5 performers in the Boyne family. We're at 73, and you can see where everybody else is. But we're very proud of that. Weddings, like I said, was a big driver this summer. And if you had a chance to look at our beach area, we did a lot of work there to beautify it, painting and a lot of landscaping, just trying to pay attention to details, which drove lodging revenue up 41% and food and beverage up 65%. So we had a lot of great comments, not only from our guests, but I've heard a lot through some of the owners here too. They appreciate the efforts that we've done. The other thing I'm talking about is we don't have a slide for it, but mountain biking is huge. It's really growing in this area. It's driving a lot of people here, helping real estate. I think you're going to talk about that later. But we saw a lot of increased traffic just for amount of mountain biking that's taking place. Our golf course, #1 in Maine, first time ever, Golf Week. We worked with the town and installed a new driving range. If you had an opportunity to go over there, it's actually it drains a lot better, so we're not losing as many balls. But it's also it's a lot easier or more effective looking at different targets and so forth. And then just the visual effect of it is great. One of the things I've always preached is first impressions. So when people went to our golf course and they saw our old driving range, they had kind of a negative first impression. So now what we're trying to do is create a better first impression of the golf course, and I think you can see that with the scores and our guest service scores. We had a world-renowned photographer, Evan Schuler, came and took photographs of this course, and he put it into his new calendar, which features resorts from all over the world. So he picked Sugarloaf to be in that calendar, which is very impressive. That's one of them, yeah. Winter outlook. I'm going to ask Ethan Austin to come up.
All right, hi everybody. For those who don't know me, my name's Ethan. I run the marketing department for Sugarloaf, and I'm just gonna kind of run you through some of the numbers that we look at when we're talking about pace for this winter, and some of the things that we're working on. And I did want to say one thing on weddings because I know Brenna's here in the crowd somewhere, and I wanted to correct it. It said our F&B revenue for weddings was up 65%, and that's actually 165%. So we had some really good growth in weddings this summer. So as as Carl was saying, last year when we were up here, we were talking about a hangover effect from the previous winter just because the snow was so bad and people are reluctant to commit to a season pass or a vacation. And when you have a really good winter, you see kind of the opposite. So heading into this season, we're in pretty good shape as of this morning anyway. Season pass revenue, we're pacing 25% ahead. Season pass units are up 28% over same date last year. On the lodging side, our transient lodging revenue, which is just people off the street call in, book a ski vacation, not with a group or a wedding or a conference or anything like that. Transient lodging is up 53% over same date last year. Our website traffic is up 30%. Our call center volume for the month of September and into October is up 47%. So just all across the board, we're seeing a lot more enthusiasm, a lot more interest from people than we were same time last year. You know, the weather forecasts are good. There's a lot of talk of, snowy winter and favorable long-term trends for us. So I think that's helping. The unseasonably warm weather that we've had too hasn't really seemed to hurt. Usually when you get these weird warm-ups in the fall in October and September, they hurt your pace a little bit, but we haven't seen that. So hopefully, we'd like to see it get a little bit colder here sometime soon, but so far it hasn't had much of a bad effect. So all in all, we're in good shape. We couldn't really ask for a whole lot more at this point in the season. So coming up this winter, some of the things that we're focusing on, working on, one is new products. So you're going to see a lot of different product ideas that we're just going to throw against the wall and see what sticks. Seen a couple of these already. We launched a new April Pass product last spring. The new Millennial Pass, College Silver Pass. We just launched a Canadian ticket product last week. And all of these are just us looking at our numbers, seeing where there's opportunity, where we're not offering the right product for a specific group of people, trying to come up with something, putting it out there and seeing if people buy it. And if they do buy it, then maybe it's an idea that we can roll out to a larger group of people. And to kind of give you an example, with the Millennial Pass, we were, that came from, like I said, looking at our numbers, looking at this group of people ages about 18 to 34, and they're growing as a segment of our customer base from 18% 7 years ago or 8 years ago to 27% last year. So they're 27% of our customer base, but only 20% of our season pass holders, and about 18% of those were college pass holders. So outside of the college pass, we were selling essentially 0 season passes to people ages 18 to 34. So we came up with a product, put it out there to see what would happen. And after our spring deadline last year, we dug into who bought the pass, and it worked incredibly well. We almost 65% of the people who purchased it were new season pass holders. 35% were to people who had a season pass, so they either moved from like a college pass or maybe a silver pass, so into a millennial pass. But 41% were to lapse pass holders, so someone who had a pass in the past, in previous years, but did not renew it. So presumably somebody who had a college pass but did not re-up to a full season pass after they graduated. And 24% were to people who were totally new to our database, who we didn't even have as a customer anywhere. So this is all brand new revenue to us, and we've sold to date about a little over 600 of those passes, and you know that's a $250,000 in revenue. And if you look at 65% of that, that's totally new revenue to us. So yes,
that's just Sugarloaf, not Sunday River.
correct. This is just Sugarloaf. Yeah. So that's an example of one that we put out there, worked really well, did what we thought it would, yeah. The Millennial Pass, yeah, same as the Silver, yeah. One of the other things that we're really keying in on is our volume this year. If you look at this graph, this is a chart of our paid visits by day last year, and you can see these three areas right here. That's Christmas vacation week, MLK junior weekend, and February vacation week. And you can see how incredibly reliant we are on those three periods for our whole season. So one of the things that we're really working on is coming up with ideas to even drive just a little bit more volume in these shoulder periods. Particularly if you look at pre-Christmas, right up until the day after Christmas, we do like zero business, almost no paid visits. So looking at ways we can fill in some of that. Some of that's through group business. Brenna's team already has a bunch of new groups on the books for that early season period. Some of it is through our the way we're structuring our ticket pricing in our online store and so forth. Our database is another area of focus for us this winter. Our target is to grow our emailable database by 50%. Email is our most effective marketing tool. It's very cost effective. It's a retention tool, so we collect your email address once you've been a customer, and then we can use it to market to you after. And it costs less than half to the. It's about half as expensive to retain a customer as it is to acquire one. So retention is key for us. And on average, we can drive about $3 of revenue per delivered email. And if we're sending 3-4 million emails over the course of a winter, you can tell that adds up. Yes. No, this is tickets, paid tickets. That's a good question because we don't scan our passes anymore, so it's a big data point that we're missing. But we at the end of the year, basically, we use a multiplier, based on the number of passes we've sold, and that's how we calculate it. Yeah. New Hampshire school vacation is it's a smaller piece for us. Maine February vacation week is our, that's our big week in February. Sure, we can. In general, we don't draw terribly well from New Hampshire just because there's a lot of competition there. There's a lot of ski areas that are closer. About 6 to 7% of our customers are from New Hampshire, so it's a relatively small market. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. That's a good idea, and that's one of the things we're looking at is how do we add that incremental day. So if you're checking out on a day, how do we add a product that allows you to ski that day and gains us a little bit of incremental revenue, lets you stay here and buy breakfast, that sort of thing. So moving along on another thing we're working on is a lot on the technology side, company-wide, not just in the marketing department, but a lot of new technologies. One big focus is e-commerce, improving our ability to to sell our products online. So last year we partnered with Intopia to handle our online lift ticket sales, and this summer we worked with them to sell our lodging online. So that just recently came online. You can book rooms through our website on through Intopia. You could do it before through our website, but it was a product called World XA, which was not a terribly user-friendly experience. So this is a big improvement there. And on the business intelligence side, it's a couple things. We have a new program called Navis, and that's something for the call center. It allows us to know a lot more about people who are calling in. Previously, when people called into our call center, all we knew was their phone number. Now we can actually associate marketing campaigns with unique 1-800 numbers. So when we see people call in to a 1-800 number, we know what piece of marketing material they saw, and we're able to put that right in the program. So the call agent is able to pull that up. It immediately pulls up the customer history if there is one there. So there's a lot less learning that has to happen in the first 5 minutes of a phone conversation because it's all right there on the agent's screen. Improves that experience and improves our ability to follow up with people as well. So if we don't end up converting them at first on that call, we can automatically follow up with them. And then another one is Rainmaker, which is a program that allows us to automatically adjust our room rates based on competitive set, on demand, on lots of different factors that ensures that we're priced where we need to be. And with all the technology, particularly the e-commerce, we are working on a website redesign. This is a Boyne-wide initiative, so all of the Boyne Resort websites are being redesigned. We're working with a company out of Boulder. And the purpose of this is to ensure that we're driving visitors to our website to purchase online, and but at the same time to also make sure that we're effectively presenting all the information to everybody who visits the website. So a local or a season pass holder might not be necessarily interested in purchasing something online. They just want the snow report. So ensuring that we're adequately serving both of those groups. And ensuring also that we're considering mobile first in this design. Over 60% of our website visitors now are visiting either on a phone or on a tablet. So it's actually a minority of people who are viewing a web page in a format like that. So the new design will take that into account. On our winter marketing campaign, we're continuing the Believe campaign that we're calling it, that we started last year with the brand manifesto that we put on the cover of the brochure that was received very well. This year we had the idea to sort of crowdsource it, try to crowdsource a manifesto like that, and we put this image up on our Facebook page and asked people to contribute their thoughts on what they believe as a Sugarloafer, and we got tremendous response. I think we had 175 or 200 different comments, and we actually took a bunch of those. We put them in our winter brochure this year. There's some on the new village banners that you'll see later, or maybe have already seen, and you'll see more of those throughout the winter. On the event side, one thing we've been working a lot on this summer is the Sugarloaf Charity Summit, and coming up with ideas for how we can build that event and increase the amount of money that we're raising every year. And part of that is bringing in a new partner who we'll be working with this year, in addition to Maine Cancer Foundation and Martha B. Weber Breast Care Center. We're partnering with the Dempsey Center, who has the Dempsey Challenge actually this weekend. So they're kind of announcing that new partnership to all of those 30,000 or so people that are attending that event, and allow us to take advantage of their name recognition and hopefully do some things with Patrick Dempsey himself and help to grow that event. And then last but not least, Burnt Mountain Cat Skiing, which we announced a few weeks ago. This is going to be a huge part of our marketing this year and probably for the foreseeable future. It's a great brand positioning piece for us. It's totally unique in the East. Nobody offers a cat skiing experience, a true cat skiing experience like we're going to be. it's a real natural fit for our core skier, for our brand. And it's, kind of like the snowfields or something. It's really an aspirational offering. So it's probably a minority of skiers who are really going to take advantage of this. But a lot of people are going to want to associate themselves with the place that offers it, just because of what it says about us as a mountain. So very, very excited about this, and Crusher is going to talk some more about the actual operation here. So thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. 41 days till our scheduled opening. Thank you, Mike. That's if we open on our schedule. Carl pushes to open earlier, so we'll see what happens. All right, cat skiing. You will access it from either the bottom of King Pine, and that's the way the cats are going to access it. We won't be driving through anybody's driveway or anything, so don't worry about that. And you can also, go into Brackett Basin or Burnt Mountain and ski down to it. It's going to be at the big log yard down there, the uppermost log yard. The cat will take you, it's 1,439 feet in vertical, and it is a 1.5 miles long, and it goes up the very eastern boundary of our property over there. And we had already cut an existing glade over there last year. So I look like a hero on our capital because we thought it was going to cost a lot more money than it did to cut it. It'll drop you off up top. It's a temporary ski patrol building up there. That's not some little smoky hut that somebody built out in the woods. You see them everywhere, not just here. Big Sky counted like 50 of them last year. But anyway, this is temporary. We the wood we cut, that we did cut, we brought it up there and peeled it, and we're going to slide that little building off, and that'll be a storage building next year. And we're going to make a little log cabin up there so ski patrol can be comfortable and you have a place to go in and warm up. We cut a new glade going west, connected to the Androscoggin glade. So there's tons of terrain up there. The uphill capacity, we have one 10-passenger cat and one 12. It's a whopping 22 people an hour. So don't worry about the place getting trashed. I'd go over there 2 weeks after a storm because it's so far over, and there'd be some tracks there, and I know who you guys are that go over there too. Thanks for the skin track, by the way. This is the new 12-passenger cat. This is sitting up by the beach. The back of it's open. Go sit in it. Go check it out. And there's another one sitting over by the Super Quad as well. You'll be glad to hear I'm going to ask questions afterwards. The lift maintenance, we're still going 110% with lift maintenance here. Not a lot of jazzy stuff to talk about. Putting a new haul rope on sawdust here. You probably saw all our equipment out there. Completely rewired all the towers on Snubber. We find anything wrong at all, anything suspicious, we just replace it. And we're staying on that. Crew is all on board on that. I always go over budget on that one. New Bison winch cat. This will give us 3 winch cats. We find when we have these big dumps, we really need another winch cat. So one of our older ones, we're going to make it so we can literally take the winch on and off. We can use it as a regular groomer, or we can use it as a winch groomer in a pinch. We should be able to change it in about half an hour, so that it'll really give us we can get the terrain knocked out, and we're focusing on some first shift changes as well. we want to get by this opening late, particularly over on King Pine area on Saturday mornings because the list is so big. So that's another big focus, is all the lifts on time every day. $439,000 for a cat. You can see they don't come cheap. My old snowcat salesman who retired early is actually here today now. You know why. Thanks, Jim. Hotel, new HVAC. That was funded by the Owners Association. And, of course, we planned it for September to unhook the air conditioning, to switch it over, because who needs air conditioning up here in September? We took a hit in the GSS that... Sorry about that. And I lost my count. He told me 6 slides. I'll turn it back to Carl.
Thanks, Crusher. We really do want to thank the Hotel Homeowners Association for putting that pipe system in. Originally, it was a 2-pipe system, so you either had air conditioning on or heating on, and then always in the shoulder periods, you never knew, which one to turn on. So now with the new pipe system, it's 4 pipes, so you can heat and cool at the same time. And that brick building gets hot on one side and cold on the other, so it's really going to help with the comfort level of a guest. I wanted to talk a little bit about some food and beverage initiatives or new things that are happening. Geppetto's. We have a new company going into Geppetto's. This was a process that took about 2 years. We floated out a proposal, and we got a bunch back. We had 3 or 4 real serious companies that wanted to come in, and it was a tough decision, but we went with this group. It's actually the Nosh Group. They're out of Portland. They have a number of different concepts down there. They have Nosh, which is upscale burgers and craft beers. They have a concept called Slab, which is pizzas. Rum, which is kind of Pacific Rim type food with those types of cocktails, Polynesian cocktails. They have BK Chicken Shack, which is fried chicken. That's right on Thompson's Point. Bramhell, which is they position as kind of a new speakeasy. So it's focused on cocktails and kind of tavern food. And they also have a new place that just opened up called Roma Cafe, which is Italian themed. So they have all these different kind of cuisines and concepts to draw from, and that's Hunker Down's kind of could be a combination of all that. They're actually here today. They're up by Geppetto's, and they have a little booth there, and they'll be happy to show you their new menus and meet and greet them up later today. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is Bullwinkle's at night, this Saturday night. I don't know how many of you have been up there for dinner. I kind of felt like it kind of ran its course in terms of us doing the offerings and so forth. So we wanted to revamp that scale it a little bit. We're in the process right now of talking to some chefs down in Portland or on the coast to perhaps come up and feature them in a dinner every Saturday night. We have a new chef, Rob Keane, who was the chef that opened up 45 North a few years ago. He's back. He's worked in Manhattan and Chicago. He's got a great culinary knowledge. He's got to help us with that, actually lead that whole effort. So if we don't have a chef, Rob's going to do it. We're going to do some wine pairings and some wine dinners. We haven't worked out all the details yet, but I think it'll be really exciting. And one of the reasons we have those new cats will help us execute that better so we can get people up there quicker and down quicker too. So we're very excited about that. I did want to mention that Shipyard has a new manager, Joe Christopher. He's from Three Rivers Rafting up in the Forks, and he's the new manager here. Great guy. If you get to meet him later, a lot of energy, and he's very excited working with him with some of our events and so forth. So we're excited that Joe's here. Cool store. I don't know if you had a chance to stop in last year. We've actually taken the space next to it and expanded that store. Excuse me. And this is an effort to try to activate the village. Also, if you've had a chance to go to the Burton store, what we're doing is we're partnering with some of these bigger brands They come in and do the whole design of the store, all the merchandising of it, and then we buy the product and manage it for them. But if you have a chance to go up there, I have a cool shirt on. You can't see it. Brand cool, not cool. So talk a little bit about our 5-year plan, recap that, or just a recap, but give you an update on it. First of all, we've been talking a while about getting a new owner. That was, the papers were signed last April, and the new owner is Oxif. They're an investment banker. They have about $30 billion in assets, so they have some, hopefully, deep pockets. We're working with them, and actually, I think the relationship with them, at least on getting capital, will improve. With CNL the last few years, when they were trying to sell, we didn't really have access to any new capital, but we worked with them right after April to get the money to do the CAT scheme. So you can see that they're going to work a lot quicker. They have a lot more. They're also have the ability to help us finance it in different means instead of the traditional means, which would add on to our asset base and have to pay a lease on it. They're willing to look at different ways of financing our capital projects. So far, so good. This, again, is just a graph showing some of the projects that we are proposing in the next 5 years. You can see on top, I don't know if you can read that, if it's too blurry, but those are our main initiatives that I talked about the last couple of years. Lift and safety, obviously, is still a huge concern for us and an initiative that we continue to improve upon. Kids and families, that's attracting the new generation of Sugarloafers. Skier experience, that's talk about what our DNA is, our core is, as we're known as a skier mountain. Resort enhancements, that's what I showed you earlier about the village. We're trying to add value to the products that we offer. And then summer business, which I think is a huge opportunity for us. We've been focusing on that for a couple of years now. It's just another period where we can generate some revenue. And all this, when we generate revenue, we're looking at how we did last year and how we're looking next year. All that means is that the better we do, the more capable, or more probably capital projects, they'll look at us more favorably as we do better in our revenue and our profitability. So that's all great news. Bird Mountain skiing, well, obviously we did that, and the road to Bullwinkles, we weren't able to finance that this summer, so we're looking to push that back to next summer. But I did want to talk about the Caribou Pond project. If everybody knows where the Caribou Pond is, on the backside of the mountain, it's the headwater for the Carrabassett River. And the Carrabassett River is where we draw our snowmaking water out of, but also our irrigation for the golf course, and also drinking water for anybody that's gets drinking water from Sugarloaf. One of the challenges with the river is that we don't really control the flow there. We have to wait for rain and so forth to monitor how much flow can go through the river, so that depends on how much water we can pull out of it. Now, there is an old earthen dam up there. It's 100 years old. They used to use it for logging. So one of the things we're looking for is to reinforce that dam or even make it a little bit bigger so we can regulate the flow of water that comes down the Carrabassett River and actually where we pull it out is by the 10th hole, 10th green. And so effectively what we'd like to do is double our snowmaking capacity, going from 4,500 gallons to almost 9 or 10. And what that would allow us to do is effectively open up all the snowmaking trails by Christmas every year. And as you can see earlier, our business levels at pre-Christmas are pretty low. And also when we were talking about the hangover effect, we don't pace well after a bad year. But if we can consistently open up the ski resort for Christmas every year, that pace will be more consistent. And will help not only with us with our revenue levels, but also with staffing and other things. The town is also working with us on that. There's a lot of benefits associated with the Caribou Pond in the town, maybe recreation. It would help the fisheries because right now what happens is the water drains through there, pulls out all the nutrients, and you can't really keep larger fish in there. So the Fish and Wildlife are for it. Back in 2008, we looked at this project, and we had all the government regulatory agencies there, and they were mostly all of them were for it. So we don't know who's there now, who's here, but so we're going to revisit that. But we're really excited about that project. I wanted to point that out to you. Okay, real estate. Sam Punderson, give you an update on Sugarloaf real estate.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So we have had an incredible year in the real estate office. The market's been extremely strong. Last year in 2016, we closed just under 24 million, and this year we have already surpassed that. And obviously, we have 3 months left to sell. So it's been an extremely busy year for us, which has been great. As you can tell by this chart, Mountainside is still selling the lion's share of the real estate that's happening here at Sugarloaf, which is great. It's always good for the mountain when we sell a lot. We are a Sugarloaf entity, so that's terrific. And there's, I attribute the strength of the market this year to the strength of the Cumberland County market. It's been extremely busy down there. I believe the number of days on market in Portland right now, average number of days on the market is somewhere around 10 or 12, somewhere in there. So we are not at that point. But it's, I think that a lot of the Sugarloafers who come from the greater Portland market seem to be really enthusiastic about purchasing up here as well, which has helped out. And of course, the fantastic winter that we had last year was a huge boost. That always helps. Last spring was extremely busy for us in our office. But the summer programming that Sugarloaf and the town of Carrabassett has put together really has been very influential, since we are consistently getting comments from folks who are saying, geez, I've been thinking about purchasing for a long time, but now that this is truly, a lot of, there's such a huge variety of four-season activities that we can do here. It's pushed us over the edge. And as Carl talked about, the mountain biking has been a big piece of that. Obviously, there's a ton of crossover between skiers and bikers, and the mountain bike trails here just continue to get better and better, and that's been really positive for us. It was, our office sits right on Main Street, and seeing the amount of activity, the conferences and the weddings, the huge increase in wedding activity this year, and the fact that Deli's and the Bag and Slopeside Provisions were all open, it was really fun. There was just a lot more stuff. Usually there's just tumbleweed going down the street in the middle of the summer, so it's a lot more fun for us sitting in the office. Also, one thing to note is we hit a really exciting milestone just in the last few weeks. Until 3 weeks ago, there had never been $1 million sale of a residential property at Sugarloaf. So we got our first one, and that actually extends back to pre-2008. So we've had $1 million sale, and then last week we actually had another $975,000 sale. So these kinds of numbers are sure to lift the whole market for, that'll make a big difference for us. The downside of all the activity is that our inventory is down significantly, about 40%. Last year at homecoming weekend, there were 103 listings in the multiple listing system for Carrabassett Valley, and there currently are 62. This is a little bit of a plea. If you're thinking of selling, this is a great time. We haven't seen a huge increase in a jump in sale numbers in terms of dollar figures. We are starting to see, we have seen in the last 2 months a number of bidding wars for places, which has been good. It's driven places up to asking price, and a couple of times just above asking price, which has been great. But you know, we're definitely going to need some new inventory for the winter. There's no currently at this moment. There's no new construction planned. So this is a great time to have your resale condo come on the market, and there'll be nobody thinking of comparing your previously loved condo to some condo with the new condo smell. So if you're thinking of selling, now's a good time. But yeah, overall, it's been a great year, and we're hoping to see that continue. Thank you very much. Bruce Miles, paging Bruce Miles.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back and welcome home. I just want to say that the Sugarloaf Ski Club has had an incredible year. As you all know, last year at this time, we were just finishing up with CVA, the Bill and Joan Alpine Competition Center, and it really had a very positive impact on the club and the health of the club. Membership is up, so we're able to perform our core missions very well, which, as many of you know, one of our core missions is to try to promote skiing and snowboarding to local kids and get them up here in the programs. And in going along with that, we decided last January to combine the Sugarloaf Ski Club with our foundation, which is the Sugarloaf Regional Ski Education Foundation, which many of you may know about, but it's a foundation we formed in 1968 when we started tutorial programs, and later on CVA came out of that foundation. So we decided that we want to take our whole scholarship program to another level. Right now, in the last few years, we've been giving out around $30,000 a year in scholarships to kids to start them skiing, to further their skiing progress, to help them in their aspirations at CVA. We've also been scholarshiping kids in the local ski skate program for SAD 58 in Stratton under the G. Norton Luce Fund that we established after Norton passed away. But we want to take that from a $30,000 level up to the sky, whatever we can, to have a significant impact on the whole Western Mountain region here in Maine, to make skiing really affordable for the young kids that are around this area. And so to do that, we decided we're going to merge the two, the ski club and the foundation, into one organization, which will be a 501c3 Sugarloaf Ski Club. We have a members meeting this afternoon at 4 o'clock to actually vote on that. Greg Foster has been working tirelessly with the lawyers from Bernstein Shore to get this application into the IRS. So that's the big news for us, for the ski club, for this, going forward. And I hope that many of you will, participate. And if you're not members now, hopefully you become members. We do a lot of good. We have a lot of fun doing the good. We have a shepherd's pie dinner tonight at 5:30 at the Bill and Joan Alpine Center, which will be a good time. And we still have a few openings available if anybody wants to come. So that's it. That's where we are with the ski club. And then they asked me to keep it short, so I will. So thanks. The newsletter is out on the coffee table if you want a copy, if you haven't got one.
I just want to say that Bruce is a new member of the Ski Hall of Fame. He's been elected, and he's going to be in. Bruce, take a bow. Sure.
I just want to know everybody to know that since he brought this up, what I'm really proud about is the fact that there's 3 members of the Sugarloaf Ski Club this year getting inducted, and besides myself, Chip Corcoran, who was on the U.S. Alpine ski team and has been a coach in our program for many years, and also Karen Hunter-Korn, who was a member of the U.S. freestyle ski team, skied at the international, World Cup level, World Championships, and she happens to be the daughter of our ski club treasurer, Phil Hunter, and his wife, Mary. So anyway, it's going to be a great night for Sugarloaf. The Hall of Fame has been in effect for about 13 years, and almost half of the inductees are Sugarloafers. And that says a lot about what Sugarloaf is all about. The movers and the shakers, like your dad, Phineas Sprague and Amos Winter, and people that have really made skiing what it is in Maine.
Thanks, Bruce. So, Bruce, maybe you can help get the ceremony up here at Sugarloaf instead of Sunday River. Do your best. So I'd like to invite Kate Punderson to come up and talk about Carrabassett Valley economy.
Thanks, Carl. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. So thanks, Carl. Thanks for this opportunity to give a quick update today on CVA. It's really important to me each year that I'm able to share with all of you the state of the school. So this past year for CVA has had its share of ups and downs. And I wanted to first address the biggest challenge that the school has faced, and that is our downward trend in enrollment over the last couple of years. CVA is not alone in this trend. The private school sector has been faced with a uniquely challenging operating environment in recent years. And I put this quote up there because at the beginning of last week I got this letter from the executive director of the Independent School Association of Northern New England, and it read in part, "Most of our schools are challenged today to address their sustainability as enrollment issues, increasing requests for financial aid, and increasing competition suggest an uncertain future and potential need for radical innovation. These times are requiring schools to clearly define their market position and competitive advantage. Schools are trimming their budgets and redefining essential and non-essential personnel." I included this because it really represents what CVA has been and continues to be engaged in over the last few months. CVA is facing this challenge in the best way that we know how, with determination and focus and perseverance. Ensuring a balanced budget at current enrollment numbers has required a restructuring of our administrative duties, and unfortunately, that has meant an elimination of several of our staffing positions in recent months. These layoffs are really important, are really difficult, especially in a small community like ours. However, these changes have already brought new opportunities for the school, our employees, and most importantly, our student athletes. CVA has weathered this type of storm in the past, and we will again. The Board of Trustees, the staff, and I are confident that not only will we meet this challenge, but we will come out stronger. Stronger as an organization, stronger as a community of students and faculty. And we're already in a better position for growth. Over the past 6 months, the Board of Trustees and the staff has been engaged in a very thorough strategic planning process. And we have emerged, again, with a steadfast commitment to our mission and an expectation of continued program excellence. We do have a unique and a marketable position in the marketplace, and we have many competitive advantages that we are eager to share going forward. So I address this because I know there are a lot of rumors out there about CVA. How's it doing? And I want to reassure you all that CVA is in a good place. We are stewarding your donations, everyone's donations, and tuition dollars with a focus on our student athletes. Our kids are hard at work pursuing their dreams. And it's not so much about the size of the school, right? I get that question a lot. How many students? It's not so much about the size of the school as it is that we are ensuring that we're running the school in a responsible and focused manner, focused to the future, and in a manner that puts our student athletes first. So if you have any questions about the state of CVA after this meeting or anytime this weekend or anytime this winter, please don't ever hesitate to ask. We are headed into this season having had some great accomplishments last year. Bruce already spoke about the opening of the competition center. It really worked out very well for us, and I hope you all have the opportunity again this year to enjoy all it has to offer. This past summer, CVA was designated as a U.S. Ski and Snowboard High Performance Center. High performance speaks specifically to strength and conditioning, sports medicine, and nutrition. And CVA is one of 6 such clubs in the nation. And our strength and conditioning program really is one of the top in the nation. And it's one that many other ski and snowboard clubs aspire to. So we're really proud of that. Our kids are in great shape. Sugarloaf, in partnership with the ski club and the town, has also been designated as a U.S. ski and snowboard training site for this winter. So we look forward to welcoming national teams for training camps and competitions throughout the winter. And another big accomplishment last year was we finished a major capital campaign to complete the funding of the new academic center. This makes our balance sheet extremely strong. We have strong assets and very little long-term debt. So again, it puts us in a great position for growth. And finally, it's hard to believe, but it is another Winter Olympic year. There are multiple CVA gunning for the Olympic Games, and we all wish them the best of luck. Olympic years always offer great motivation and excitement for our current students and our weekend program athletes. And we're looking forward to supporting our alumni in the games and cheering everybody on. So CVA remains dedicated to the unique product that we offer our student athletes. And we do recognize that in a small community like this, everybody can have a really big impact on the school. You all are a really rich part of CVA's rich history, and you will remain that way. And it means a lot to the school, our student athletes, our alumni, to have all your support throughout the winter. So thank you again for your support, and as always, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks. Oh, Carolyn. Carolyn Willett.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Carl, Ethan, and Sugarloaf for this opportunity. I'm Carol Ann Willett with Maine Hudson Trails, and it's great to be here this morning. And since I'm closer, I will try and keep this relatively brief, but there is a lot of exciting things happening at Maine Hudson Trails. So, whoops, wrong way. There we go. How many people have been to the huts, either for a hike, lunch, overnight? That's it. Great. I'll go sit down now. Thank you. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And everyone knows Stratton Brook Hut, which sits across the way from Stratton Brook. You get a great view of the Bigelows. You also get to watch what's going on at Sugarloaf. But this is the Clem and Roland Began Hut, for those that know Clem and Roland, and we're thankful to them. It is the last hut that was built, but now our second busiest, so Flagstaff being the busiest hut and Stratton Brook second. But we are actually going to be celebrating the 10th anniversary of the opening of our first hut in 2018. So Poplar is 10 years old. Amazingly enough, it's been a quick 10 years, I'm sure, for those that have been involved from the beginning. We are happy to say that we've actually surpassed 50,000 bed nights in those 10 years. Just close to 11,000 of those were last year, so we're experiencing almost double-digit growth in the last few years, which is very exciting. And a lot of that has come in the non-winter months. So as Carl mentioned, Ethan mentioned, looking to grow that what we call off-season visitation up here, but certainly looking at that non-winter month activity. One of the things for us is that being able to attract thousands of environmentally conscious visitors to the area is also helping to have a positive economic impact on the local communities. That's part of our mission and goals, but that's not it completely. It's more than that. And when you look to Larry Warren's vision that really was inspired by hut-to-hut trips across the Alps in Europe, he really saw early on changes in the land ownership and was really looking at responding to those changing patterns in ownership with an eye to land conservation and public access to Maine's Western Mountains for current and future generations. So that's been really important. But it's also about environmental stewardship and education. And looking at sustainable practices. So one of the big things and part of all of that is also breaking down the barriers to getting people in the outdoors. So the whole way that everything was planned as the development of Maine Hudson Trails was really making it accessible for people, and that's very important still today. But looking at promoting environmental stewardship, so modeling off-the-grid energy systems, we're in the right now in the midst of upgrading a micro hydro project at Poplar, so continuing to focus on that sustainable living encouraging powering down, which we find anecdotally is one of the things many families comment on when they leave the huts, is how nice it was actually to not have their kids have any access to tablets or phones, or TV or whatever else it might be, but that it was actually true family time together. Sustainably built lodges, really looking at sustainably built trail building techniques, particularly with regards to tread and drainage and habitat, and offering stewardship-focused learning opportunities for students in Maine and beyond. The youth program has grown dramatically. We've seen over 130 groups since 2013, again with double-digit growth, 22% last year. 60% of those were new to the area last year, which is really exciting, although we still are primarily focused on Maine schools, and with 30% of them being Franklin and Somerset counties, because it's very important. Many of those kids actually comment that they had not had ever an opportunity to experience the Western Maine mountains, despite the fact that they live here. So that's a big piece for us. Growth for us is about partnerships. Very cool partnership this year. We embarked on a 10-year agreement with Colby College. We are now sort of their outdoor classroom in the Western Maine Mountains. So it'll be an interdisciplinary approach to looking at environment and economics. So they'll be bringing classes through, and there's quite a number of components related to that partnership. We are also, just with Kate, we've had some really early discussions with CVA to see what we can do to share resources and partner together as well. And then also, as been mentioned a number of times, a critical partnership has been the Carabasset Valley Trails Initiative, and looking at how that mountain biking development moves forward. So working with Sugarloaf, working with the town and Carabasset Region NEMBA, it has certainly helped Maine Hudson Trails in growing that off-season visitation. So this is what we do, or what we have, I guess, in the quick point. The original concept was Mahoosix to Moosehead. We're not quite there. That's 12 and 180 miles. We're 4 and 80 miles. But looking at our next phase of expansion and growth, which would be towards Rangeley with potentially 2 new huts. So that's in the planning processes right at the moment. And this year, primarily our investments in the trails, again, has been more on that non-winter focus. So looking at bridge work, looking at better tread conditions, looking at expanding single track opportunities, and then also towards winter as well, recognizing that last winter was a great snow year, and what challenges that brings on our end for grooming too. So some of the widening of the trails for better grooming conditions as we move along. Oops, losing everything. And then finally, one of the things that we do hope is that you will come visit or join or volunteer. There are so many ways to enjoy the huts. We've been doing guided adventures. We continue to expand those guided experiences. One of the trips that we think is a bit of a hidden gem is the Grand Falls paddle trip. So you can actually hike in about a mile, jump in a canoe or kayak, do that 6 miles down the dead, and then hike another 1.5 miles or so to the hut. It's a super kind of multi-sport experience. Our events, Harvest at the Hut, which we just had early September. We had 2 local chefs there and partnered with Cellar Door Winery. Brews and Views, we're looking at expanding that. We partnered with Baxter Brewing for that and looking at doing some more across the course of the year. Guest experience is huge for us, as is food. We work with a lot of local farms and as many local stores as we can to source our products. And those certainly bring on, most of our guest reviews are very, very positive, and they always highlight the food and the hut staff. So we've got a diverse crew that works throughout the various seasons for us from all over. But the core staff, which is really wonderful for us, are all local. And it's very important to have that team in place year-round to make things work. So the other quick thing from a partnering standpoint is that we are embarking on a staff sharing initiative with Chewonki this year. So we'll have 4 Chewonki staff in the huts over the course of the winter. And that's a great opportunity for us to grow the educational component on a daily basis inside the huts, so we're very excited about that. Stop by. We've got a table up at the art show. Feel free to stop by, say hi to folks, and also we've got a barbecue tomorrow at Poplar for anyone that's interested in joining us, 11 to 1. We'd love to see you there. And again, thank you so much for all your support. We really appreciate it. Welcome home. Have a wonderful weekend.